Don don day, don don day, don don day, don 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 day, don don day, don don day, don. Calling all sisters and brothers of love, calling all nations and angels above. Calling all sisters and brothers of love, calling all nations and angels above. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Let us rise, 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 like a phoenix from the fire, and we will fly, 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 higher and higher and higher, and we will stand, 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 in solidarity for this sacred land, and we will lead, 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 with compassion for all humanity. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. And we will pray, 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 for love to show the blessed way. And we will hear, 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 the truth that leads us out of fear. And we will really choose to see those we perceive to be our enemy. And we will be set free with the light that shines in you and me. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. And we will choose to heal the pain we feel, and we will rise above, 'cause we are warriors of love. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Dum.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Reverend Deborah Johnson, and welcome to the Inner Light Ministry Sunday service. Shout out to Heather Houston for that exquisite video, helping us to set the tone for the day. I'd like to acknowledge Donna Starr for speaking for me last week and holding it down with our virtual service. Welcome wherever it is that you are, whatever time of day that you may be tuning in to this service, wherever it is that you are. We're knowing that because you're there, because you are a holy being, wherever you are is holy ground. You could be in the sanctuary of your kitchen right now. You could be in the sanctuary of your bedroom. You could be outdoors someplace. Maybe you're in the hospital. You could even be looking at this incarcerated. But wherever you are, God is. Wherever you are, God is. God got there before you did. God is not only omnipresent, but omnipresence. The only thing that is everywhere there. And we come here to celebrate that. We come here to remember the goodness of life itself. We come here to awaken from the hypnotic trance that says that we are our stuff, and to remember who it is that we are. Because we have a vision. We have a vision of a world that can be spiritually fulfilling, environmentally sustainable, and socially just. That's the way it would be in the natural order of things. And we come here in order to do the deep inner work that we need to do the healing and the growth and the transformation, so that we can unleash our divine power and become the all that we are ordained to be. So even in the midst of everything that's going on, we are declaring ourselves to be energetically triumphant, even in the midst. So much is going on right now with the storms, the weather, changing weather patterns that are happening all over the place, the COVID virus, the economic downturns, the social injustice, the insurrection. There's a lot going on. But don't let any of that in your mind eclipse the fact that the one thing that is, in fact, always going on is that the divine is being the divine. That is the content of our life, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Spiritual beings having a human experience. All of that stuff out there, it's just a context for our learning. It's the laboratory, it's the classroom, it's the field, it's the stage, it's the arena. But the real stuff is the stuff of life itself. So don't worry about how it's packaged. Don't worry about how it's packaged. Get your praise on for life anyway. Get your gratitude on for life anyway. You see, our theme this month is power. It's power. It's this pure capacity that we have. These spirit definitions that I get, they always describe the spiritual qualities in the form of a formula, where there's something that we bring to the table, there's some activity that takes place that meets up with something that's already here that we're just missing because we haven't connected with it in order to experience that spiritual quality. The spiritual quality is not something outside of us. We externalize it. So we're chasing after love. We're chasing after power. We're chasing after faith or wholeness or prosperity. No, it's at the core of your being, and it is for us to unleash. It defines power as this energetic place. It's where our effort discovers the divine unbridled capabilities. That's where the power is when our effort discovers, when our effort aligns with the unbridled capabilities of the universe. That's where our power comes from, not from institutionalization, authority. It doesn't come from some kind of governmental agency. It doesn't come from some socio-demographic entitlement or privilege that is put upon us. It doesn't come from our own merit or our own efforts or education or whatnot. No, we have been given the spirit of power, which is what I'm going to be talking about. Unbridled. I like that word, unbridled. It's not saddled. It's not attached to anything. It's free and clear, and we need to discover that within ourselves. Take a breath. Take a breath. I want to invite you to a Zoom experience. Some people are already in it. There's a Zoom watch party that's going on right now. So wherever it is that you're looking at this particular service, if you are in real time, you can jump on right now. This talk that I'm doing now is being screen shared through the Zoom. And when we get through with this, I want to jump into that. And we'll all be together. We've created a Zoom, basically a virtual sanctuary where you'll have a chance to get into small groups and to talk with one another. And as soon as I get through, we're going to sing. We're going to get our praise on. We've got members from the Inner Light Praise team who are going to be there leading us in song, and we're going to have a good time. The other thing that you can do anytime without this, throughout this Zoom, throughout this session now that I'm speaking, and within the Zoom watch party, is that you can also give. You can also donate. Whenever that is moving you and it's calling you, there's lots of opportunities and ways to do that. We're celebrating Black History Month here in February. There are a couple of things that we're going to be weaving in to the session today. One of the things that we're going to be weaving in is a reading, and we're also going to be weaving in a short video clip. Now, this video clip is it's less than 2 minutes, but I was deeply, deeply moved by this. I'll speak a little bit more about it in a moment. But there is a new PBS special that just came out on the Black church. It's 4 hours in two 2-hour segments. So I just watched the first half last night, and I was deeply moved. And there's a little clip out of that we're going to show in a moment. And I highly, highly recommend that you go online and check out that particular series. But we're going to start off, instead of doing our traditional activations, we're going to do the activations in the Zoom watch party right after I get through speaking. But we're going to bring the reading in to this. In a moment, it's going to be flashed on the screen. I want to give you just a little bit of context for this reading. The reading is from a book called Martin Luther King, The Inconvenient Hero. The Inconvenient Hero. It was written by Vincent Harding, who was one of his absolute best friends, one of his advisors, confidants. Vincent Harding actually is the author of King's famous Riverside speech, the Beyond Vietnam speech, the one that turned the tide of the work that he was doing. And everybody knows ultimately is what got him assassinated. We had the wonderful privilege of having Dr. Harding here at our Inner Light Center at the 45-year anniversary of King's assassination and that particular speech. But we're going to put it on the screen now, and I want you to just get a feeling for these words, and then we will go into the video. It says, Martin closed his life while loudly proclaiming his fundamental identity as a child of God, saying that he was thereby related to ties deeper than human blood or government rulings or creedal formulations to all people of the world. This was a magnificent freedom, releasing him to see himself, to see God, to see humanity in a new light, and then act in new ways. He called Black people and all who wanted to join the march towards a new freedom to envision themselves, not merely moving away from slavery and oppression, away from racism and discrimination, away from exploitation and domination. Rather, like Frantz Fanon in the last pages of The Wretched of the Earth, King urged us to see ourselves in the vanguard of humans' best possibilities. He asked us to see our freedom as empowering us to create new values, to envision a new society. He challenged us to mold our freedom as a power to break beyond self-centered goals, to work for a new humanity. That was what he meant when, toward the end of one of the last full public expressions of his own movement, he said, "Let us rededicate ourselves to the long and bitter but beautiful struggle for a new world. This is the calling of the children of God. Nothing less is worthy of us, King said, and nothing less is worthy of the Creator God. Now, in this video that we're about to see, there's some references that are being made. And there's a juxtaposition that's being made here in saying, don't confuse position with power. The preacher first starts off with some biblical references. And I just want to put these references in the context in case people aren't familiar with biblical history. He talks about the Pharaoh having power, but then there's Moses. So Moses was the Hebrew leader that went to free the Jews out of slavery in Egypt, and the Pharaoh was the leader. He speaks of King Herod, who was the leader, the political leader during Jesus's day, and Jesus's cousin was John the Baptist, his forerunner. And we refers to John having the power. So Herod the king had the position, but John had the power. He spoke about the cross and he spoke about Jesus. And then he goes on and he talks about American history and explains these people in American history who had position, but then these African American people who in fact had the power. And he speaks of Frederick Douglass. He speaks of Rosa Parks. He speaks of Martin Luther King Jr. And he's speaking to us. We'll take a look at that clip.
Some brothers came carrying a paralyzed man on a mat, tried to take him in the house to lay him before Jesus. And they couldn't get in the house because all the religious folk were blocking the entrance. So they decided to make their own entrance. That is what I love about this text. This thing is so beautiful. Look at this. Everybody is in the house. They want to hear Jesus, but they don't necessarily want to practice what Jesus is teaching. And here you have some brothers. They tried to get in the house. And you had all these people that had positions. Never confuse position with power. Right. Pharaoh had a position, but Moses had the power. Herod had a position, but John had the power. The cross had a position, but Jesus had the power. Lincoln had a position, but Douglas had the power. Woodrow Wilson had a position, but Ida B. Wells had the power. George Wallace had a position, but Rosa Parks had the power. Lyndon Baines Johnson had a position, but Martin Luther King had the power. We have the power. Don't you ever forget how much power there was in you.
So just breathe that in for a moment. Never confuse position with power. We're here talking about rededicating our energy, and too much of our energy is going towards either trying to shift our position to give us a greater sense of power, or we're busy trying to resist somebody else's position in order in our minds to decrease their power. But what we really need to do is to rededicate our energy so that we are affirming our own power. In scripture, this word power, you hear me mention this a lot because it's one of my favorite words in the New Testament that Jesus uses. It's dunamis, dunamis, pure power, pure capacity to do. There aren't enough words to say how important this is. Not to see yourself as just an entity out there that's at the mercy of things that are indifferent to you. To feel like life is just happening at you or that life is happening to you. You are a spiritual being. Life is happening as you. Life is happening through you. Let that sink in for a moment. Life is happening as you. You can't wait. You can't wait until something shifts or changes. You can't wait until this thing happens or that thing happens. You have to accept it and know within yourself that you have the power. Just because you exist. Just because you exist, you have power. We are all co-creative beings. We are using our power all the time. But what are you using it for? What are you using it for? What do your words say? What do your deeds say? What do your actions say? Everything multiplies. Your every thought is a vote. Your every thought is a vote. And the more people and the more things that align and are moving in the same direction, the more powerful is that manifestation. So what too many of us do is we're busy reacting. We're reacting. This is the government. This is the economy. This is COVID. This is my relationships. No, cut the strings. Cut the string. Stand in your own power. Know who you are. You are part of the great I am that I am. I am that I am. You cannot earn this. Nobody can give it to you. And newsflash, nobody can take it away. Nobody. You can be imprisoned. You can be enslaved. People can do stuff to your physical being, but they cannot take away your power. Because that's you. That's who you are. Even in the midst of terrible things or abusive things happening to you in your own mind, you've got to know who you are. In your own mind, you can stand up for yourself. Most of us are waiting for things to shift. We're waiting for things to change. And that's just what we're doing. We're waiting. And you know what? Waiting begets waiting. Tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow never comes. You can never live tomorrow. Whenever you live, it's today. We're waiting for something to happen, but you make it. We're waiting for some time when we can exercise our power or do whatever it is that we're supposed to do. When you do it, then it's now. See, now is not some time that exists that you move into. You make it now. When you do it, when you take action, when you speak that word, when you stand up, then it's now. So when is it going to happen? Whenever you make it happen. When is it going to change? Whenever you're tired of being tired. First the roots and then the fruits. You got to believe it. You got to taste it. Rededicate your energy. Point it in the direction. Pain pushes until vision pulls. Put your energy in the direction of your vision. Let's let that sink in. We're going to have a chance to go deeper in this. You're going to have a chance to talk to people about this and what does this mean for you and how you're using it. Once again, inviting you to jump over into the Zoom watch party and to join us in that. There's a workshop that I'm going to be doing that's coming up actually in a couple of days. It's going to start. It's going to start on Tuesday, February the 23rd. It's for 3 weeks. And it's called Being We, Healing Divides. Being We, Healing Divides. It starts at 9 a.m., which is on Pacific time. It's an hour and a half. It's Zoom. You can get all of the recordings or whatnot, for that. If you check out our website or you check out my website, DeborahLJohnson.org, you will see that information there. It's also in our social media, which is an opportunity for us to practice the things that I'm talking about now. To use this idea of redirecting our energy and our power and what that means when we do that on a collective level. To not just be sitting around crying about what everybody else is doing, but being we, healing the divides. I say thank you to everybody who contributes to Inner Light. I invite you now to make a donation, to make a contribution, to even do it on a recurring basis so that we can continue to get this message where it needs to be. In the Zoom watch party that's going to happen right after this, there'll be other announcements about different things that are going on. We invite you to participate with us in community. But I want to remind everybody right now that we have a food bank that happens on Thursdays at noon. We push out thousands of pounds of food. It's free. Anybody who wants it, you can come by. You can even drive through. We have a large site here. We welcome volunteers. I want to say thank you to all of them who are literally on the front line. They are working as essential workers on a volunteer basis, making sure that nobody gets left out. So even if you feel like you personally don't need the food, come by, get some for somebody else that might need it. We're at 5630 Soquel Drive in Soquel in the Santa Cruz area. And it's part of the contribution that we're making right now to being community. It's one of the ways that we can use our power. And regardless of what's going on in your life, I know there's a way that you can make a difference. There's a way that you can redirect your energy so that you can become a blessing too, even if you're not stepping out of your door, with your love, with your encouragement, with your insights, with your wisdom. Keep being you. We need all of us. It's been a pleasure being with you at this point in time. And I'm going to invite you to come on over because we're about to get our praise on and do some singing. as we always say, take this consciousness and multiply it.